All right, it looks like we are live. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody. I'm going to apologize right now that I've had all kinds of snafus on the timing of this. My graphic said 1 p.m. It was originally scheduled for 1 p.m. in the system, but it's 10 a.m. on my damn calendar, and it's 10 a.m. was what I've been emailing to. And so my apologies for anybody that is confused and is showing up 3 hours after this happens to check it out. But that's the beauty of the instant replay of the live stream. It will be here waiting for you whenever you show up. But my apologies for any confusion there. And I'm excited to see that we have some people on here right now. So that's a good sign that we at least reach some people here with our message. So that's good. Well, I am very excited for today's conversation. We've got Mr. Shaun Clark, the CEO of HighLevel, here joining us today. And there is nobody that I can't imagine anybody right now that has a better sense of the space, the agency space, when it comes to the small business marketplace. And you know, what's going on there, what's working, what's not working, what are some of the future developments that we should know about. So I am super excited to pick his brain, as I know many of you will be. And so we will jump into that in just one moment. Welcome, Shaun. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
And let's see here. Richard, thank you, Richard. Welcome. Facebook user, I can't see your name unless you give live stream or StreamYard permissions to work with Facebook to see your name, but it says Heya from snowy Montana. That's awesome. I'm jealous of the snow. I'm so ready for ski season already. But of course, in San Diego, we've got low 70s, perfect sunshine. I'll take that. That's just fine. I can fly to the snow. Robert Brewer says, hi team. Jimmy, awesome. Jimmy says, I can feel the business brain power in this webinar. Awesome. Rob Smith, hey bud. Looking forward to this, says Rob. That's awesome. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are live streaming on Facebook in the Leverage for Entrepreneurs Facebook group, and we are live streaming on our YouTube channel as well. And so if on either of those channels, you can put in comments into the comments here below the video and we can see them. So if you have any questions for myself or Shaun here during this call, you can be sure and just type in those questions into the comments there, and we will do our best to field them. So Patrick, hello, Patrick. Welcome, welcome. Awesome. Good. Well, why don't we go ahead and get rolling? Again, thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you, Shaun, for joining us. We all are aware that you must be an extremely busy man right now because HighLevel has just been on an absolute tear in terms of growth. And anybody who's been in a company that's growing that fast knows that it can be pretty darn chaotic. You look good though. You don't look like you're losing any sleep or anything like that.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm here. It's a lot of coffee, and you know, but it's also definitely a good team. I mean, you can't get here without great people. So there's a lot of other people doing a lot of heavy lifting behind the scenes. So I just get to show up and tell bad jokes, and it all works out.
That's awesome. Well, yeah. It is an amazing team that you've assembled, and one that's growing fast. I know it was so cool. So for some of us, we were fortunate enough to go to Traffic and Conversion Summit here in San Diego just about a month ago. And it was so nice to finally meet some of those people in person. You know, we've had so many conversations with people from your team, you know, virtually and in chat and on Zoom calls and all that good stuff, but to actually be able to meet people in person was a lot of fun. And so I'm looking forward to a lot more of that, I hope, here in the relatively near future.
Yeah, we're going to definitely do it more. I mean, it was a great experience. And I mean, yeah, it was kind of, it's like we're all grown up almost, you know, getting
right.
It's like, you know, who can we afford to fly out? Oh, me and Robin, you know, and it was we actually had, you know, able to fly team members out. So that was a lot of fun. And then for me, I got to actually go to our Dallas office for the first time ever the week after. So that was kind of cool.
That was your first time in your Dallas office?
Yeah, I've never been there before. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
awesome.
awesome.
It was impressive too. I was blown away. I was like, man, this place is cool. So yeah, it was a good experience for sure.
That's great. That's so funny. Cool. How big is the team now? Tell us a little bit about that.
We're about 170 overall.
Wow.
Yeah. So our biggest contingent is for sure engineering. I think engineering and QA, we're about 50 people, and we're going to be at 80 engineers by the end of Q1.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just really a focus. It's just a hiring process kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I would say the majority of everybody else is in customer success and customer support. And then we've got I don't know what we have. We have like a CFO now, I think, and we've got some content folks and that kind of thing. But yeah, pretty much between engineering and support is the mainstay.
That's awesome. That's incredible. And I'm sure continuing to grow very quickly here in the months ahead. So, the awesome thing about your story that I love is that this has all been so organic. I mean, I'm trying to think of exactly how long ago, the whole pandemic and everything, calendars kind of goofed up, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 years ago that met you for the first time in San Diego. Rob Bailey and I have done events together, and you were at, one of Rob's, I know Rob was one of your very first customers, and you were at this event.
Wouldn't be here without it.
Yeah. And we're sitting there talking about, what he had done with HighLevel, and, we're having good conversations and stuff. And I was like, man, I know exactly what you're doing. I get it. I've been in this field long enough and have enough experience to understand exactly what you're doing here. And it's challenging as all heck, but I'm all for it if you can pull it off. And here you are 2 years later, that it has been this just very organic thing, which, in my experience, the best companies are always companies that grow very organically because they tap into that real customer need in the marketplace, that real demand that's out there, not just because they can throw venture capital dollars at it. And maybe you can speak a little bit to that. Like, what is it that you're getting, feedback from the marketplace? What is it that is really attracting people to HighLevel from your perspective and is making that work so well?
Yeah, I think that we've done something, I would say, that's really unique. So, I mean, yeah, we absolutely, I would say the first thing we did is we came in and served an unserved market, which was really cool. And it's totally by accident that this came to be. But as we moved along, it became more than just listening to our customer. I think that's like a really, common thing that people like to say. And I think we do a great job at it, don't get me wrong. But I think we started to say, well, how can we do this differently? We knew our strengths were in product and in software development and those sorts of things, but we weren't marketers, right? We weren't salespeople. But we were lucky enough that our customers were great marketers. So we thought, well, how can we partner with our customer? And a lot of people say that, and I think it's very thin and very disingenuous. But I think for us, by being white label, by being something where we're putting our customer on stage, or making sure it's their logo, not our logo, we really feel like that's what we're doing. And I think by enabling our customers to go to market with the technology that they need to be successful, but under their own flag, has been everything for what we're doing. Just really recognizing that they're truly the people who are making the difference for the customer, and making sure that spotlight never leaves them, I think is what's really made us different.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. You're right. I think from my perspective as well, I think kind of expanding on that a little bit, from day one, your model has been 100% about the agency's success and understanding that that's what's vital to making this whole thing work. And like you said, a lot of companies, they have a reseller program or a partner program, but it's a very thin thing. And it's a thin thing, not only in terms of their commitment to the relationship and really helping those service providers, but it's also a thin thing financially. And so anybody who's, really looking to build around a platform, the economics of it don't really work. And your model is very, very different in that the economics that you create, the opportunities that you create for really attractive economics for the agency, is night and day from other platforms and their programs that they have. And I think that as somebody who's been in this agency space and helped people, helped agencies for a long time, the economics of selling to small businesses and servicing small businesses is not easy. It's not an easy business.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah,
And in fact, I've been in SMB my whole life, from my answering service days all the way through. And every SMB SaaS company out there loses money like crazy. It's really interesting at this point in my position. I get to see a lot of different things and talk to a lot of different people. And we get a lot of calls from venture capitalists and private equity firms. And I always take these calls because it's funny. I get on the call and they think they're going to be asking me a lot of questions, but I just end up they ask us. You learn a lot, right? I mean, I've talked to people who have said, I'll say, oh, I saw in your portfolio that you funded such and such a company. And, I'll be talking to a partner and they'll say very candid things that you don't ever imagine them saying, like, oh, that is the worst investment I ever made in my whole life. I hate that guy. That company's terrible. And that company's massive. And you're like, whoa, first of all, why'd you say that? But then, or like someone will say, oh, I remember sitting in the boardroom and they came up with this really big idea and I hated it at the time. But they said, forget you, we're doing it anyways. And now I was totally wrong. It was the greatest thing they've ever done, right? So really hearing a lot of those things. But one thing I will say is I never hear, hey, these companies are wildly profitable. I hear, hey, these companies make no money. And so it's definitely a very expensive venture.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough market to make work. And it's tough. I mean, for the agencies, I typically don't even like use the word agency. I know it's the word that is accepted in the marketplace and known in the marketplace, but I like marketing services provider because I think agency, it communicates to people that there is that it's about talent. It's about the people there and their talent and doing custom work for customers and things like that. And the economics of that are terrible when you're dealing with small businesses. It does not work.
They're terrible. I mean, even in large enterprises, there may be a lot of professional services, but at the core, it's still about, hey, what's the boxed product we can sell, right?
Yeah, that's right.
There's not a single business out there that scales in any regard that has a bespoke, custom, every time, your way kind of thing. It just doesn't exist. Go find it. You won't.
And if it does exist, I got to tell you, it's not fun to run because I've been involved in those kinds of businesses as they've tried to scale, and it's not enjoyable. It's not enjoyable to have an economic engine that is based on you selling your time and talent. It's a recipe for disaster because the only way you get better and grow more is selling more of your time and talent, which is then in complete conflict with having a life.
And even if you have no life, is finite.
Yeah,
I don't care
absolutely.
if you're 20 years old and have no responsibilities, and at some point there is a finite amount that you can sell.
Yeah, absolutely. So the amazing thing to me is that the platform has allowed agencies, service providers to build a different economic model, to build recurring revenue, to build revenue that's based on automation, to build revenue that's based on access to tools instead of just access to people and talent. And that just completely changes the dynamics of the business. And it was cool to see actually when we went to Traffic and Conversion, and there was that little happy hour get together and talking to a handful of the people there. And I was so excited because I was like, Shaun, I was like, we're going to look back on tonight as this is one of those really amazing turning point nights, because there was this group of people that were getting together that were talking about HighLevel, and they were talking about how, their financial situation had like really changed because they had no recurring revenue before. And now they have recurring revenue. They had 40% gross margins and now they have 75% gross margins. Things like that, that's changing people's lives. And at this event, partly because of the pandemic and partly because, it's the first event that you guys were at, really, it was a relatively small crowd that got together and was hanging out and talking. But, I can see 2 years from now, that's going to be a huge crowd of people that all have similar stories. And I'm super excited by that. Super excited to be a part of that.
Well, but that was the fun of meeting you, right? So like, I think what people don't, understand is how genius your idea is, where, you're cutting in the middle. You're saying, look, don't sell a tool because everybody can go buy a screwdriver or a hammer, but don't sell your time, right? Take those two and sort of create your formula that you can sell over and over and over again that solves the end problem and make it incredibly scalable. And you understand all the things that I've seen people just fall victim to. You understand the price point issue where it's like, you charge a small business too much money. I don't care what it's for. Yeah, you're going to get churn. I often think, you could say to a business owner, look, you give me $1 million, I'll give you back 2. And they just be like, sorry, I just can't come up with it. Right? Like
it's so
it's
true.
just, there'd be a limit there. Right. So you understand that issue, but you also understand the scalability issue. Right. And you understand the fact that you don't die for the tools, because at the second you do that and you're trying to tell people about features, you're just, competing with a billion other tools out there. So that middle ground is so key from a profit and a scale perspective.
Yeah, from a profit and a scale perspective, and from where I think the majority of the market really is in small businesses. The majority of the marketplace can't afford bespoke services and shouldn't. The majority of the market won't know what to do with all these fancy tools. If you put them on their lap for free and said, hey, you use them all, right? The reality is most of them don't have the talent themselves, don't have the staff, don't have the time. If I'm making a lasagna and serving pizza, the last thing I want to do is sit down and then try and figure out how do I build a birthday campaign funnel in a platform.
So while we're at traffic and conversion, I remember seeing the news that Intuit bought MailChimp for $11 billion.
Yeah, wow.
And, MailChimp, for the record, if you go back and you listen to their CEO, he was the guy who said, we're never selling out, we're bootstrap forever, And there's even some bad press because he didn't give his employees any equity. So when he sold, they didn't get very much, if anything. But ultimately, looking back and asking myself the question, why did he sell? MailChimp started out as this really simple, easy to use tool that everybody could send emails, right? But as the market grew, eventually they succumbed to the pressure of trying to create this huge tool set. And if you go now and look at it, they have every feature under the sun. But I think what happened is all of that effort was wasted because it precisely what you just said. I think they gave those tools out thinking, all right, now we're like, everybody else, and now go off and do this stuff. And I think people adopted very little of it, if any. And I think they just ran out of gas, because what they're missing, right, is that key ingredient that I think you talk about, where you have to have someone come in and create the formula to put those tools into effect to create the outcome very quickly.
Yep. Some help. Got to have some help.
That's
where our communities have such an awesome opportunity, is to provide that help.
I agree with that.
And to do it in a scalable, smart way, which requires technology. You have got to have some sort of asset that you are building your services around that gives you that leverage, that gives you that scalability. So
absolutely.
It's cool. It's a really neat time. As you and I have talked about before, I was in the IT services space, and I got to see the IT services space go from a time and materials business to a much more automated, technology-oriented service delivery. And I got to see, my friend Arnie Bellini build the platform that industry, ended up running on ConnectWise. And I feel like that's what you're doing. And we're just in the early days of it. And it's so fun. I mean, it just really
I'm with you. Like, this is where I think, again, it's amazing how life experience, you never really figure out how these things connect together, but you've seen this happen in another industry. And that's exactly right. That's what's happening here, right? The marketing agency, quote unquote, or however you want to call it, industry is moving, I think, from a time and materials bespoke, because that's what MSPs were prior, right? They were I'm a network guy. I'm going to come in for $150 an hour. I'm going to start doing some stuff and installing some switches and all that.
Yeah.
That went away, right? And and now that's what's going to happen here. But see, you understand that model. I think that's key.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see. It's cool to be a part of again. And I think the next handful of years are just going to be an amazing time for the industry. So speaking of that, looking ahead, I know people in my community are definitely very curious to hear, what are some of the big things coming? I know, you can't always reveal too many details ahead of time and all that good stuff, but maybe you could just give us some.
Yeah, I'm a tough guy to have on a call like this because I tend to give away too much. But yeah, so we've got our big level update coming, and we do this. We're going to do this every year. This is our second one. I think it's a great time of year to do it. But yeah, so I mean, as we look forward, our mission is really simple. Every single agency out there needs to be part of our platform, first and foremost, to help them just economically grow their agencies better. A lot of people are out there using a bunch of other tools. And so that's kind of our first mission. And so to that end, we're going to be offering up things that we think are really valuable in areas we don't cover today. So we're going to have a really great WordPress offering that's coming out. We're going to be getting into the e-com space with a big integration that we'll be announcing and the additional capabilities around that. And then the other piece of it that won't come out at Level Up Day, but we'll definitely announce and will come out this quarter, is we also want to make a big entrance into social media as well. And really the idea for me there is every single type of agency today, we're going to go out and make sure we've got a tool for them. And if you're an agency who doesn't do those things and you always thought about them, now we're going to make it even easier for you to just do it all in one spot, right?
Yeah.
And then once those are out, and as part of that, we're going to continue to move into the SMB tool set, because again, we really believe that agencies are going to be the deliverers of technology that do both marketing and operations to a great extent inside organizations. And so, we're going to be doing things around invoicing here very soon, where I think that agencies will be able to come in and help really take, because if you think about it today, we take these opportunities, these sales opportunities, all the way to the point where you're basically ready to send an estimate or send an invoice, but we don't have that capacity today. And I think that's a really easy add-on that every agency can win with. A lot of agencies themselves need to be using that as well to kind of run their businesses. So we'll be putting a lot of that into place. And then I think early next year for Q1 for sure, I can talk about. We'll finally add in a full phone system as well. Really making sure that we're doing both. And the way I think about it is any small business you can talk to or work with, you have a really cool package that is, again, recurring revenue for you as an agency, number one, top priority. And number two, incredibly scalable and incredibly applicable to every type of business. So, again, you're going to walk into some organizations and they're going to say, oh, it's a CRM. Sorry, we don't need that. We got one. Well, that's cool, but we want to have 5 other things. And honestly, I don't know about you, like, I'm pretty sure you almost say the CRM is the last thing you should be pitching anyways, because it's just too gosh darn complex for most people.
Yeah.
So it's really about giving them those subdivided services. But I think our opportunity is like, take something like social media. Social media posting products are out there. That's cool. We'll come out with one too, but it's the add-on, right? It's the ability to create one post, schedule it out for 50 clients, and then charge each of those clients for that same post. And, I love examples like Outbound Engine, where they went out and they took one silly newsletter and sold it every month to 10,000 real estate agents and made a bundle off of that one concept, right?
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of all of that. Yeah. So I see here some, hey, Titus, welcome. Oh, from the beach in Dubai. Nice.
I know. I'm jealous.
Love that. He says, Shaun, I finally started working with workflows. It's amazing. I got to say, I think your workflow builder is the entrepreneur's dream. And you just made it better with the start event and the version tracking. Man, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and actually we have some big updates coming for the workflow builder. So, on things like this, I love throwing out the big features, because those are the ones, if you've never heard of us or whatever, but there are a ton of updates that I think people are just going to love coming to things like the workflow builder. And we'll just keep making that better every day. I mean, it'll just continue to get better and better and better. And, there's also a ton of speed enhancements in the system that have recently been released, and some more that'll be released for Level Up Day, where, we're really, it's, if you've ever done software development at this level, and especially at this speed, every day is a choice. It's like new feature or make this thing faster. And so, we chose new features for a very long time, but this last quarter we doubled down on speed, and we've got a lot to show for it. So there's a lot of really cool updates that if you use it every day, you're going to be like, holy cow, this is amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yamil, welcome. Great to see you here. Thomas, great to see you here. Thank you. Yeah, anybody, if you have questions, go ahead and type them in, and we will make sure and do our best to answer all of them here while we're here. But I want to go back to what you just said, because you said 3 very, very big markets that have lots of money being spent in them.
Yes.
That what you're describing is now an opportunity for us to get our hands into those pots, which is WordPress hosting, e-commerce, and social media.
Yep.
So I know when is Level Up Day?
October 21st. So that's next week.
Okay.
So it's going to be big. Apple's going to have an event. Google's going to have an event, and we're going to have an event.
There you go. So October 21st is Level Up Day. And I want to bring that up to make sure that people know, because Level Up Day is when you'll be doing more detailed announcements of a lot.
Oh yeah. We'll go through everything. We'll have our big presentations. We won't show any videos of people looking at features. We'll just be showing features.
Cool.
It'll be awesome.
Awesome. So So heading into Level Up Day, then for everybody here who's watching this and who will be watching this in the days ahead, looking for these details around WordPress hosting, e-commerce, and social media. Those are three massive markets where the amount of money being spent and generated.
Precisely. Exactly.
Yes. The services that they're investing in through other service providers, through other platforms that now you're going to have the ability to tap into. And what I love about what I think is so important to understand is this idea, and I know you understand this, which is what all these capabilities are about. But once you get your hands into the customer relationship in one way or the other, and now you have this amazing integrated set of tools that you can then connect various services onto that initial, wedge that you use to get into the customer relationship. It just allows you to expand from there in some really incredible ways. So even if you're thinking, hey, Mike, I'm not in the WordPress hosting business. Well, you may not be in the WordPress hosting business today. But what I can tell you is that there is an enormous amount of money spent every day by small businesses on WordPress hosting. And even if that isn't the primary focus of your business, it can be an incredible foot in the door. It can be an incredible wedge that can allow you to just secure that relationship. And from there, you're expanding. So these things just create all kinds of new opportunities for us.
Well, and this is what's fun about this. So on our side, we're looking out in the world and we're targeting existing providers, right? And we're saying, look, we know that there's a market out there for WordPress. We know there's a big market out there for tools that revolve around large e-commerce platforms as well. We know that there are huge tools. I mean, they're publicly traded companies that are worth billions that just do social media posting. And so, but when you look at each of those, what's so beautiful about it is the world doesn't need another tool. What the world needs, right, is a service that scales, right? They need the tool that comes with the plan that can easily just be, the easy button for my industry, for my business, for my vertical, whatever, right? Somebody who can come in and help me just make it happen. And this is where I think it's brilliant. And we talk to marketers every day who are in these industries, and this is how we get here, right? We have this is what's I just love. We get to work with the people we do because they just come in and say, look, this is what I'm doing today. And we're like, great. Well, we'll just go ahead and take that feature set and we'll just put it into HighLevel. And now as a marketer, you can go out and you can attack that same customer base and sell them this sort of easy button that comes with the IP and the campaigns and the posts and all that, and the tool all in one spot, and you can monetize on it and scale it out. So that's exactly how we think about these markets.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think that, so a long time ago, I can't remember who first said this, but then I've been credited by people in my audience for saying it, but I stole it from somebody. I just can't remember who, but they said that software will eat local. And I think that is really what you guys are doing. And it doesn't mean that, again, that software is going to replace everything that's being done. But what it is doing is it's eating all that manual effort that goes into. So like you said, if you're talking to an agency right now and you're talking to somebody that says, hey, these people are paying me to manage the social posting at their business, to create the content and manage it. And I'm doing it for 75 restaurants at a time. And I've figured some ways to make my team more efficient, make my service more efficient. But man, none of the tools are really designed for me. They're designed for, the business themselves, and I'm kind of cobbling it together. Yeah. And so what you're doing is you're taking that experience and you're saying, well, you know what, we could design the tools the right way for you specifically. Exactly. And so when I say software is eating local, you're eating up all of that waste, honestly, and turning that into margin. There's a lot of wasted time and effort.
This gets back to our ethos, right? So we believe that agencies, and again, that catch-all term, but we believe agencies are the absolute key to victory if you're really trying to help a small business. You want to help a restaurant? I mean, you go into a real restaurant and you're not going to find an owner sitting around doing nothing. They're going to be running tables. They're going to be, helping angry customers. They're going to jump into the kitchen. They're going to run something. They don't have time to be doing all this stuff. What they need is help, right? But the problem is today, and this is where, there's so many examples, and I show people these all the time, where, there's a company called Patient Pop, and these guys, in effect, sell websites, and, they have some gloss in here and there and all that stuff, but they've raised $125 million. And why they did that is they went to the doctor and look, for $600 a month, we will do, your website and, it'll be fast and you'll have content. Basically, we'll handle this for you for $600.
Yeah, we'll take care of it for you.
And it's a contrast, right? So that physician says, wait a second, I know my website's garbage or slow or this or that. But every time I've talked to anybody to fix that problem, it's like $10,000, $20,000, $5,000. But these guys are $600 a month, sold, right? It's the contrast that wins the sale. And it's also the contrast that creates the stickiness, because every time they think, how do I get rid of that $600 cost? They remember, oh, wait, it's going to cost me like 20 grand. Yeah. Okay, never mind. I'm good. Yeah. And so now and of course that company has not just the $600 plan, they've got the $1,000 and the $2,000, but eventually they'll work you up. But even in their most expensive plan, the doctor still remembers the $10,000 price tag and says, never mind, I'm good. Yeah. Right. And this is why it's so brilliant. If you look behind the scenes, of course, of that business, you're going to see technology and you're going to see people, but they're coming together in a very scalable fashion. Yeah. And while you could sort of say, well, if only you had a custom website, it would be so much better. The reality is the physician's like, nah, good enough. Yeah. Moving on. Right. Yeah.
Very rare, the small business that needs a custom website.
Yeah, totally. And so I love the idea that we can create these adaptation plays. And then a lot of people, on the SEO side, we made this mistake early on with our website builder. We just assume, well, of course you'll rebuild the website. But most businesses are like, you're nuts. I paid like $1 gajillion for that WordPress website. But now you can come in and say, well, guess what? We just want to rank you higher. So what if your website, that same exact site, just loads twice as fast, right? It's like, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. And boom, you just picked up, let's call it $100 a month in additional revenue that you didn't have a minute ago.
Yeah. At very high margins, which is awesome.
Very high margins.
Yeah. Let's see here. Some questions have come in. Yeah. So actually speaking about the WordPress, a gentleman is asking, or actually I'm not sure who's asking, but does that mean that the native HighLevel website builder is going away?
Yeah. So good news there. Yeah. So he's basically saying, yeah, that's cool and all, but what about that internal website builder you guys have? So with the WordPress stuff, we got access to a brand new Google technology, which is called the Level 0 CDN. And the Level 0 CDN is really Google's CDN they use to deliver their search content to you and I as consumers. They're now giving it access to it. They started with Fortune 500 companies, and then they were looking for a smaller company, to which I raised my hand. And so we put WordPress into the CDN, and it's been fantastic. So now we're going to move that down this quarter. So it's not going to come off HighLevel update, but this quarter, we will absolutely go back and make the websites and the funnels under the same technology. And you will see some very big warp speed increases by, call it Christmas time.
That's awesome. That'll be a nice Christmas present. Cool. Dorn, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Let's see here.
The email broadcast feature, I guess. Any new additions or anything to foresee added to the feature? I did get to see a really cool. Oh shoot, I'm trying not to spill all the beans, but so a really cool update on the bulk uploads. And so this is when you're uploading a list, they've enhanced this in about 6 different ways where it'll be so much simpler to upload a list, even the ones with really terrible, people always put in junk records and stuff. It'll clean it up and it'll make it very seamless to go from list to campaign or workflow or email, all kind of within a very few number of steps. And the processing times have been incredibly sped up. So, when you used to add a list, people would be like, oh, we never anticipated these things, but like I bought a 1 million person list off the internet. I don't understand why it's getting stuck. Well, now it won't get stuck anymore. It'll go very quickly. So there's some really cool stuff coming in that area.
Not that you should be buying 1 million person.
Yeah, I know. And uploading it to HighLevel. What we thought, right?
Yeah, but let's not encourage that.
Yeah. Don't do that. By the way, it's a terrible idea.
Hey, Christine, welcome. Good to see you here. Alexander asks.
Question. Level update there. Alexander's question is a great one, which is, hey, what's this Twilio? What's going on with Twilio hosting? So that will be out. That will be part of level update for sure. And just as a quick background there, our goal first and foremost is to get rid of all of the registration requirements that are now popping up in the world of sending texts and phone calls. It's really interesting because you think about almost every aspect of technology, it becomes more inclusive as time goes on. It's like about getting more people to use it. But when it comes to sending texts and making phone calls and those sorts of things out to anybody that you choose, it's actually becoming more exclusive because as the regulations have come up, the Twilios of the world have no interest anymore in working with individuals. They now want big platforms or bust. So we're going to make that super easy for everybody and automate all the registration and onboarding.
That's awesome. I love that.
And then in time, we will also reduce the cost, because as we get bigger, we'll get volume discounts. And just like we did with like Yext, we'll pass those discounts back on to you.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that you're able to harness the buying power of the community, because that's one of the most.
We're going to do more of that too. I mean, as time goes on,
have to.
Yeah, well, as there are hard costs underlying an agency, I mean, I could see days where we can just throw our weight around in weird ways that aren't technology enabled necessarily, but where there's just this like hard cost agencies deal with a lot. And now we can come in and say, hey, here's what's up. But it's really cool because, there's this big opportunity. I just spoke, this is super nerdy, but I just spoke on the Google Business Messaging developer, week, whatever it is, bi-weekly call, monthly call. But the last people they had on that was Walmart. And then before that, it was like Procter & Gamble. They'd never had a business of our size. And so we're getting a lot of attention from people like Google, which gives us really good access to technologies and news and inside betas and things that are not available to anybody else. But what's cool about it is we don't just rush in there and use them for ourselves. We rush in there and get them out to the agencies so agencies can use them for their customers. So it's really cool outcome.
That's awesome. Let's see here. Glenn asking about, is there an email API on the map?
Yeah, so I think, what we're going to have on Q4 is we will release hosted email. So this is just basically today, we use Mailgun or Gmail or whatever. We'll basically just say, oh, email's out of the box, and then we will allow you to API through that service. It'll just be part of HighLevel. Just trying to reduce the, originally early on, we had Mailgun and all this stuff because we felt like, it just helped us get to market faster. But as we've moved along, we've learned a lot. I think we're big enough now where we can do a better job holistically centralizing it. And I think we can do it a lot cheaper than what people are currently paying. So for all those reasons and more, I think it's a great opportunity to get rid of it and just bring it in-house.
Cool. Let's see here. Robert Brewer says, it's great news about the website builder speed. Will there also be new features? Will it be added to the API to allow better automations? And I think,
why not?
Like added, like really combined in with like workflows and things, right?
I think so. Yeah, I don't know why not. I mean, so the cool thing is, and this is the stance we've taken in general, is we're trying to get out of people's way when it comes to things that we haven't yet done, because we get that we're not going to be able to do everything overnight. And so early on, we made the decision, look, instead of trying to invest in this integration or that integration, we'll just invest in our API. So we've put big dollars behind an engineering team that just sits there and works on the API all day long. We have monthly engineering calls. We have an entire Slack group just for engineers from other companies. And so what's cool is, in the short term, it's given a lot of really smart people in our group access, and that will only continue. But we're actually starting to attract some interesting attention from outside parties. So like Zoho is doing an official integration with us, which is crazy because I would think of them as a competitor, but who knows, right? And so we'll continue to invest more and more and more in the API because we love, the innovation in our group is just phenomenal. We have people integrating with EHR systems, dental management products. We have somebody who integrated with a car dealership inventory management system, like a credit management system, all kinds of stuff. And it's just insane to watch.
So do you see this? I mean, is the vision kind of like the Salesforce, community of developers? Is it something like that?
I want to be careful about that because I don't know that much about it, but absolutely. I mean, my story is, prior to HighLevel, I was an add-on to QuickBooks and my last SaaS company, and they brought me all my customers. And I have to tell you, it was an incredible experience to the positive. And it really came from leadership from the top. The guy who was the CEO at the time, he's no longer CEO, but he cared a lot about the developers, and I would not exist that business would not have existed were it not for him. And it was just amazing. I was like, gosh, they're publicly traded, they're multi-billion-dollar company, and they're paying so much attention to some dude like me working out of his basement and helping me build a business. And at one time, they flew me out to their developer conference. They paid for my hotel room. I'm just incredible experience. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. Like, that's who we want to be, right?
Yeah.
And so I want to create a community where anybody like me, some crazy dude in his basement, can create something valuable, and we'll promote the heck out of those people. So yeah, absolutely. We want to be
that's
a
awesome.
platform
Yeah.
to be built on.
Yeah, that sounds like the Salesforce community that they built, where they have just thousands and thousands of developers that are developing things and saying, hey, Salesforce, let us leverage all of the amazing technology platform that you have.
Check this out. We have a customer who I can't name, who is in the VRBO space, and they are up for best software, marketing software of the year in the, whatever you call it, the VRBO / Airbnb, whatever. They're gonna, like, they're up for an award for their version of HighLevel that, and they've added some stuff to that is specific to their industry. And and then I was excited because last year I was talking about how these two customers got to 3 million in revenue just off the software alone, but I checked back. One's at 10 million now and the other's at 6. And then I haven't validated this myself, but I got on a call today with a very big, well-known influencers, dudes, company people, and they said they found out about us through another customer who they claim is doing 80 million off of it, and I'm just like blown away. So I love this idea that that there are people out there just doing tremendous things and making lots of money.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's what fires me up so much, is I know for a fact that 2 years from now, we will be standing at some event and there will just be this sea of people that are building very successful businesses on the back of this platform and community and all the things that come with it, that we're only just seeing now, that will continue to expand in ways that, and this is the coolest thing, and I'm sure from your perspective, this is the coolest thing, in ways that you don't even know yet, right?
Heck,
all of the best companies, when you hear, I just heard a interview with Tim Ferriss, and the founder of Wikipedia. I was listening to it while I was working out, right? And all the best companies come, some of the things that end up being most crucial to their success and that they're most known for and all that type of stuff come from two things: constraints. Wikipedia didn't have money to hire moderators to moderate the content. And so they just said, well, you guys just moderate it. And that became what is Wikipedia, is people just going in there and moderating content on their own, right? And then it comes from then the customers and the community taking it and running and doing things that you didn't even know, we're on the roadmap, right? So,
and you know what? It's funny. This guy says he's going to give me the name of this $80 million guys, and I'm going to just track him down and validate that, because we don't give away revenue numbers, but I will tell you 80 million is more than we're doing. And I love that idea. I'd love to find that someday there are many people doing even more revenue than us off of the platform. That would throw me to no end.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. Enabling other people's success is what really it fires me up. Ben Chestnut, back to MailChimp, I remember him saying the two smartest things they ever did to make MailChimp go was freemium and the API, and not in that order. He said the API was way more important to them than freemium, because it opened up this massive world of creativity that he never realized was there. And I think that's what we're trying to do as well. And cool. We've already worked this through with our law firm and things. People often, the biggest thing I hear is like, well, yeah, but if we build this business, can we really exit and can we really sell? And the answer is abso-freaking-lutely. So not only have we seen people raise money, we've seen people exit, and it's all incredibly legit. Just like Salesforce, you build on top of Salesforce. No one's ever going to be like, oh no, you can't sell your company. They'll say, oh wow, smart decision. You didn't build it all yourself. That was brilliant. Here's your money. Right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it's really cool.
I totally agree. Let's see here, James. Hey, welcome, James. James is up in Montana, I think. That might be our snowy Montana guy. Asking if blog features are on the roadmap.
Yeah. So absolutely. We all have those. I'm not sure if they're going to make Q4 or Q1. We get the basic blog concept. WordPress is going to be our first entry, though. And I think that from a pricing perspective, you may find that you'll just go with that and be happy. But yeah, we'll absolutely add a basic blogging feature into the future. But we want to make sure first and foremost that we've got the bigger things covered, and WordPress by a long shot is huge. And so we want to be careful. Like whenever anybody asks me, I always think to myself, like, can I do something of significant value here that's better than the alternative, right? So we haven't gone off and built our own shopping cart per se yet, because I kind of throw a look out in the world. I'm like, gosh, Shopify is like $29 or something. And if I was going to run e-com store tomorrow, I sure as heck would go with those guys because they rule that.
They've got that platform. They've built the community. They have the platform. Just like you guys do.
Yeah. So we'll tag, maybe we'll build on top of their platform, but we're not going to try to take on Shopify. That just seems silly. So first stop for us is WordPress for blogging, but we do see a benefit there to a really light blog solution. I think that's more the value, is that it's simpler, not that it, so we will have that probably in Q1.
Cool. And then what about, I'm going to ask for my good friend Glenn, because he and I both commiserate on this one. What about some of the updates to make the CRM?
We do have some updates there. Yeah, we do have some updates to the CRM. So, so there'll be a CRM update on Level Update. So you'll just have to watch and wait to see if we have all the goodies you want for Christmas. Yeah. And then, but in Q4, as part of the email, ISV is what we'll call it, but hosted email, we'll also start down the road of native integrations with both Gmail and Outlook. Mostly because we're finally ready to pay Google a $70,000 obscene tax to integrate, which is a yearly tax, sadly. But it's a security review, which sounds great on its face, but it feels terrible as an engineer, and especially for smaller dev shops trying to do a Gmail something or other. But we will do it, and we'll do a great job of it. So yeah, don't worry. So you guys will have some great stuff on Level Up Day and more to come in Q4 as well.
Awesome. So Level Up Day, again, tell us the day.
October 21st. And I dropped the link in our private chat, Mike, if you want to post that someplace, but people can register. But it is October 21st, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, 12 Eastern. So definitely be around. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming.
Cool. So those of you on YouTube, YouTube allows me to post comments. So you now have the link there on YouTube. For those of you watching this on Facebook, I will get this link to you here shortly after we wrap up the interview here. Let me, while we still just have a few minutes left, and I'm going to let you go because I know you're super busy. Let me just turn this around a little bit and ask you, you have insight now that is incredibly rare in this industry. You get to see, thousands of businesses and thousands of businesses that they're serving. So you've just got a lens that is different. What do you, if you're talking to my audience here who we're coming into the end of the year and they are making plans for next year and, want to grow obviously and want to improve their business, what do you see from the most successful agencies, marketing service providers out there that, and maybe what are the things that you see going really well? What are the things that you see that are the biggest mistakes that you feel like are costing people? Whether this is like a tactical, hey, you should be doing more of this type of service, or it's more of a strategic or mindset even. I'm curious, like I said, you've just got such an interesting perspective. Thank you for reposting the link there. Thank you very much.
So I probably will get boring on this stuff because, it's kind of like, it's like every good sport, right? Like all the points are generally made in the basics. And so I think this is right in line with what you teach. So reality is the agencies that are doing the best are the ones that have figured out, okay, this is the boxed version of the technology plus the service that I'm going to sell. And they've said, look, this, maybe I've got the good, better, best version, but those are just 3 boxes. And all I'm going to do is stay within this box and I'm going to scale that box up. I'm not going to go out and do custom things. And they say, and when people ask, they say, no, they say, hey, you know what, that's not me because I want to provide this outcome for you. Is that's the outcome you're looking for? And as long as that's the outcome you're looking for, then you're going to pick me because I have it right here in the box. You don't need these things that are over here. Even if you think you do, you don't need it. That's not your expertise. I'm your expert. I've got the box. I've done this 100 times and they're scaling that up. Right.
Yeah.
And, I have seen, and then, for me, I'm a software engineer. I'm kind of an introvert. If you told me how to cold call someone, I would probably run out of the room. And so I've watched people now create strategies that are very scalable around ads that I've been super impressed by, where they've been able to take that boxed, marketing service that's technology enabled and run an ad against it, do the things that I like. Like I love talking on Zoom calls when I'm talking to someone who actually wants to talk to me. It was funny at Traffic and Conversions. We had some people walk up to the booth and they'd say, oh, HighLevel. All right, well, sell me. And I'd be like, I just look around and I'd be like, hey, can you talk to that? Hey, Chase, hey, Varun, I don't care, anybody, but not me, because I have no freaking clue. The best ones were, you'd get the people, the ones I want are the ones where the two guys walk up and this guy's like, hi, my name's Jeff. I'm a HighLevel customer. It's my friend Bob. Could you tell him all about HighLevel? And I'd be like, no, actually I can't. Why don't you tell him? You use it already. Why are you talking to me? Those are my favorite visits, right? And so, but watching people scale this up, I just talked to a guy named Dar Holtzworth the other day, and he said his biggest problem is himself. He has 75 people that have scheduled on his calendar he can't meet with because he's just overloaded. So I think it's about staying in that idea. Now, the people, the not to do, in my opinion, is the stuff that's been done, which is, hi, I'm Shaun. I can do everything for you, and you tell me. I think it's that way. It's like, you tell me what you want, right? And you define for me what the world should look like. And it's so funny because patterns are so consistent. Like I started an answering service. I dropped out of college to start an answering service. I know it's really exciting. So I always used to tell people that one, but but it became a $30 million business. And what it was a standard. We created a box. So we would take these, it was all inbound, right? All the plumbers and doctors and dentists. And what we would do every time was super simple. We'd just be like, thank you for calling Bob's Towing. How can we help you? And no matter what they said, we would just say, no problem. Let me get your information and we'll get tow truck, dentist, whatever, right over to you or whatever it is. And we would have people come in time after time after time and be like, yeah. But I want you to like quote how much a toilet replacement is or tell them how much a filling is going to cost. We're like, nope. And people would be like, then what good are you? And we were like, here's what we do. We keep that person from thinking you're not there and calling your competitor.
There you go. Right? And that's all we do. And we do it really well. We smile on our voice.
Right? Yeah. And so I'm just telling you that this pattern persists in this business as well. It's, define your box, be strong in the fact that it's going to work and stick to it, and it'll scale in a way that's just crazy good.
Man, I'm so you're preaching to the choir here, and I am so glad to hear you say that. Yeah, I think that the biggest challenge that I see in working with agencies is getting them to switch that mindset from I am a professional services provider,
right,
to I am a provider of a product that I have designed that I take to market. And I think the best way for people to think about this is literally, if you went to work for a company that sold, we sell flat screen TVs, and we've got this size TV that's got more connections, and we've got this size TV that's got even more connections than the super high resolution screen. And there are 3 different price points. And which would you like? And if the customer said, no, I want a radio, you wouldn't sit there and try and convince them. And you also wouldn't sit there and try and like, well, you know what? I could
maybe I can build that
together. And sell you a radio. You would. Now, over the course of a year, you'd get a whole bunch of feedback from a whole bunch of prospects. And you may sit down at the end of that year in your strategy meetings and go, you know what, guys, we got to get into the radios too. And it may be a smart strategic decision after all of that input to go, okay, let's get into radios. But when you're selling services, for whatever reason, people think, you know what, I can change today, right, with this prospect. And then the next prospect that talks to me 2 hours later, I can change for that one as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you change like that, you are just destroying everything that you want in terms of scalability and profitability.
I think there's this idea. I think there's this idea that if by creating something simple, you're somehow being deceptive, right? Or you're not doing like enough. And therefore you're not. It's funny, the flat screen TV example, right? Because when flat screen TVs first came out, there was no Vizio. And if you look at where Vizio came from, the reason they were successful is Sony came out and they had, originally it was 3 connections because 3 used to be a lot. But when Vizio came out, it was one HDMI plug, not 3 HDMI plugs. And as a result, the TV was like $200 cheaper, right? And they sold like wildfire because at the end of the day, people were like, I want a flat screen TV. And if I only get one silly HDMI connection and I can pay $300 less than the Sony Bravia or whatever, sold. Or like or if the resolution is slightly lower, sold. Like they, it's the idea that at the end of the day, what they were looking for, the thing that brought them joy and pleasure and good movie viewing and all of that just wasn't worth $1,000 extra bucks for the Sony. And, over time that market has moderated itself, no doubt. But this is the core, even in a product market, there's this idea that you're just trying to meet that positive outcome. And that's good enough. And people will be happy to pay you for it consistently over a long period of time versus trying to like go all out, be crazy and be custom just to find that. Honestly, it's ironic because that doesn't even get to make people happy at the end of the day. How many agency owners get fired after busting their butt to do something super custom and amazing just to be told, oh, you're not good enough?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yep. And here's a little, look at this. Is awesome.
Oh,
Who is Harvey? This deal partner with Sony and used Beyonce in a marketing campaign. There you go. They were smart. They knew what they were doing.
Totally. Absolutely. And nobody knew them at the time, right? I think that was brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's incredibly important insight, super, super valuable, and something that as one of our commenters said, hey, can I remind myself of this every morning? It is the really cool thing is that once you get the momentum of delivering the same thing every day and doing it well and seeing how your customers are benefiting from it and seeing how your business is benefiting from it, all of a sudden you'll get confidence and you'll be like, what was I ever doing? And it takes discipline and commitment to get there. But I'm telling you right now, that is the difference in the business. That is the difference between the ones who are successful and can scale and can build a business with margins that they can actually enjoy a little bit of time away from, and go on vacations without worrying about everything falling apart. Those are the businesses that do exactly what we just talked about here. They get focused in. They offer a limited number of things to a specific customer base that they've identified. Hey, here are your problems, and I know what they are, and I know how to solve them. And they lead the customer. Small businesses rarely, I know in America, we love small businesses and we love to talk about small businesses and they're the engine of the economy, and all of those things are true, but we cannot give them too much credit for being really good business people and really knowing what they need from a marketing perspective.
Totally.
It's not the case that the really good guy running the restaurant really understands digital marketing like you do. So you have to lead them and say, look, I understand your business. Here is what you need. And I'm going to, deliver it for you at a very efficient, fair price, all that type of stuff. You've got to be able to show that leadership because you believe in your products and services and what you created.
That. Yes, absolutely. That's the mindset, actually. I think if you're asking really to the mindset thing is that you're the expert and you know better than they do when it comes to this thing, right? Which is not really their business. Being a great plumber is not being a great marketer. Being a great dentist is not being a great marketer. You're a great marketer. So they should be coming to you. There's no way they go to their accountant and say, well, I'm not sure about that deduction there. Hold on, let's get that spreadsheet up. Let me start looking through your calculation. They never say that. Yeah. And if the accountant says, look, I really think you need to apply for this tax credit or you need to do this or that or the other thing, they listen. They're like, okay, yeah, you're the expert, right? You need to take that position as a marketer. You need to earn it. And the best way to earn it is when they say you're wrong, you say, sorry, you know what? I get it. You don't have to work with me, but I know my business just like you know.
Walk away.
Yeah, and I'm willing to walk away over this. Absolutely.
That's right. And that takes discipline. It takes confidence. It's absolutely critical.
Totally.
So, and leading your customers, showing that you are comfortable leading your customers is, I think one of the biggest breakthroughs in this business. When you're at that point where you are comfortable saying, hey, look, I don't tell you how to make your lasagna patients' backs or fill teeth or whatever it is. And you should not try and tell me how to run your marketing because that's what I do. When you're at that point and you feel comfortable, people want to be led. They want to be led and they're looking for somebody to do that for them. And those are the people that they're attracted to. So on that note, Shaun, thank you very much to you and your team for
me.
leading the way for us, because you are doing amazing things for this industry. I'm super, super excited to see where it's going to go here in the next year or 2 years. I'm incredibly confident in where it is going, and I'm super excited to be a part of that. And I'm thrilled that my community here gets to tap into that as well, because it really is just such an awesome advantage for us to have an incredible development team that you guys are listening to us, listening to our feedback, and developing these tools that can help us build our business and serve our customers. So,
well, we feel lucky to be here and lucky to be partnered with you. So
awesome.
Thank you very much for being there for us.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here. We always appreciate your time and your attention and your business. You can see right there. Did you see how quick, just how nimble I was, Shaun, in figuring out that I could put a link and a banner?
I got to tell you, I'm impressed. And like I said earlier offline, you know, if you haven't seen Mike's YouTube channel recently, he is just leveling up the game like nobody.
Right? I'm trying. Awesome. Well, everybody, please put time on your calendar to go to Level Up Day. Okay, Level Up Day is where we're going to get all kinds of exciting details to fill in some of the blanks about what we've been, talking about here, a little bit more of a high level here today, no pun intended. But we will get into some of those exciting details that, of course, Shaun, I can't reveal those on my, my little interview here today. We got to do that at the beginning.
Give you a couple tidbits. Don't worry, you got some.
Yeah. Everybody put it on your calendar, head to Level Up Day. You got the link right there. And again, everybody, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Also, a little plug here for my own, If you want to know more details about why I am such a big fan of HighLevel, I lay it all out right here, servicesthatscale.com/HighLevel. I talk about the 3 big opportunities that HighLevel creates for service providers or for agencies to help them with their business. I could not be a bigger fan of what these guys are doing, of the technology and the company. I'm running everything that I do at my business at this point on HighLevel. So I hope to be a good representative of the capabilities of the platform and how to use it here for everybody. So go and check that out. And then please be sure and go to Level Up Day and get all the details on what's coming in the months and year ahead. And thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Shaun, for making the time here for us.
You.
And we'll let you get back to your busy day. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.